A compressed tablet costing 8 cents dropped into ocean water. 30 minutes later, a TDS meter reads below 500 parts per million. That is EPA drinking water standard. From seawater, the formula uses 3 ingredients you can buy today. The leading portable desalinator costs over $300 and demands hours of manual pumping. This tablet costs less than a dime, needs no equipment, no power, no filters, and no training whatsoever. By the end, you will know the exact formula, the ratio, the process, and why 11 states reportedly banned it. And the fact that you have probably never heard of this tells you everything about who controls what you are allowed to know. Welcome back. If you are new here, this is the channel where we recover the survival knowledge that economic interests and regulatory capture have buried. Every video we release exists because someone, somewhere, decided you were not supposed to have this information. Subscribing here is not about supporting a creator. It is about making sure the next piece of critical knowledge reaches you before it disappears from the platforms that increasingly decide what you are allowed to see. We do this differently. We present claims honestly, we flag what is proven and what is not. And we trust you to think critically, because that is what separates this community from people who will line up at a government water station when the grid goes down. You are here because you refuse to depend on systems that may not exist tomorrow. That makes you rare. That makes you valuable. And that makes you exactly the kind of person this research is for. Now let me show you where this formula actually came from and why the military kept it quiet. Picture the Pacific Ocean, 1943. An American aviator's plane goes down somewhere between Midway and Wake Island. He survives the crash. He inflates his life raft. He has a flare gun, a fishing kit, and a canteen with maybe a pint of fresh water. Around him in every direction stretches the largest body of water on Earth, 64 million square miles of it, and he cannot drink a single drop. This was not a rare scenario. This was an epidemic. During the Pacific theater of World War II, the United States Navy documented hundreds of cases where servicemen survived crashes, survived enemy fire, survived burns and broken bones, only to die of dehydration while floating on an ocean of water. The Navy considered this an operational crisis, and they threw serious money at solving it. The research went to multiple institutions. Solar stills were developed, small, inflatable devices that used evaporation and condensation to produce tiny amounts of fresh water. They worked, barely. A good solar, still in ideal conditions, might produce a pint a day, not enough, so the Navy funded chemical approaches. The goal was a compact, lightweight, zero-equipment solution that a downed pilot could carry in a vest pocket. Something that could turn salt water into drinking water with no moving parts, no power source, and no training required. The research explored multiple chemical pathways, and some of those pathways involved silver-based compounds. This is documented. This is not conjecture. The U.S. military has invested in portable water purification research for over 50 years through the Natick Soldier Research Center in Massachusetts. That is a real facility. You can verify its existence in 30 seconds. Natick has been the Army's primary research hub for soldier sustainment technologies since the 1950s. Water purification has been one of its core research areas for its entire operational history. Military survival kits evolved across Korea, Vietnam, and the Gulf Wars. Chemical water treatment compounds were included in various forms. Silver-based purification appeared in multiple iterations. The specific compounds changed over time, but the principle remained consistent. Silver ions kill pathogens. Activated carbon removes contaminants. Chemical additives can alter water chemistry in ways that make unsafe water drinkable. Here is what is also documented, and this is critical. Military survival technologies are routinely classified or restricted from public release, not forever, but for years, sometimes decades. This is not conspiracy. This is standard institutional practice. Technologies developed with defense funding are subject to distribution controls that have nothing to do with whether the technology works and everything to do with strategic advantage. So if the military solved cheap desalination decades ago, why are we still building billion-dollar desalination plants? Sit with that question for a moment, because the answer is not that the technology does not exist. The answer is that the technology may not be profitable for the people who currently control the water supply. The military had the research. The ingredients existed. And someone put them together in a ratio that changed everything. 5 to 2 to 1. Before I give you that formula, I want you to understand something. This video represents weeks of research. It is the surface of what we have compiled. Inside the vault, the full research archive that supports this channel, you will find the extended manufacturing specifications, the alternative ratios that have been tested, storage protocols for long-term preparedness, and field reports that cannot fit in a single video. The vault covers water purification, food preservation without refrigeration, medical alternatives when pharmacies are empty, energy independence from the grid, and communication methods that work when the internet does not. Every item in the vault has been researched to the same depth as this tablet. no fluff, no filler. Just the knowledge that prepared people need and that mainstream channels will never touch. But you do not need the vault to use what I am about to show you. Everything you need is in this video. The vault is for people who want to go further. Now, let us talk about what modern science actually says about the 3 ingredients in this tablet. Because this is where it gets complicated, and I am going to be honest with you about what holds up and what does not. Ingredient number 1, silver-impregnated activated carbon. Let us take these separately because they each bring something different to the formula. Silver, as an antimicrobial agent, is not debatable. This is settled science across dozens of peer-reviewed studies and multiple commercial applications. Silver ions disrupt bacterial cell membranes. They interfere with enzyme function inside the cell. They interrupt DNA replication. This triple mechanism is why silver is so effective and why bacterial resistance to silver is extremely rare compared to antibiotic resistance. You already use silver-based water purification whether you know it or not. Katahdin micropore tablets sold in outdoor recreation stores worldwide use silver ions as their active purification agent. Hospital wound care products use silver-infused dressings. The mechanism is documented, replicated, and commercially applied. This is not fringe science, this is established biochemistry. Now, activated carbon. Our 1 gram of high-quality activated carbon can have a surface area of 3,000 square meters. Think about that. A single gram, a fraction of a teaspoon, has the surface area of more than half a football field. That surface area is what makes it work. Contaminants adhere to the carbon through a process called adsorption. Municipal water treatment plants worldwide use activated carbon beds. Every home water filter pitcher uses activated carbon. The adsorption capacity is measured, published, and universally accepted. When you impregnate activated carbon with silver, you get a dual-function material. The carbon adsorbs chemical contaminants. The silver kills biological ones. This combination already exists in commercial water filtration products. It works. That is proven. Ingredient number 2, sodium thiosulfate. Or, this compound has verified, well-documented chemistry. Aquarium owners use it to dechlorinate tap water before adding fish. Photographers used it for decades as a fixing agent in film development. Hospitals use it as an antidote for cyanide poisoning. Its chemical behavior is well understood in these applications. In the context of this tablet, sodium thiosulfate is claimed to interact with the sodium chloride in seawater, essentially sequestering the salt. And here is where I have to be straight with you. Ingredient number 3, citric acid. This is food-grade, widely available, and chemically well-characterized. In the formula, it reacts with sodium to form sodium citrate. The claim is that this sodium citrate precipitates out of solution, effectively removing the sodium from the water. I'm not going to tell you this definitely works. I'm not going to tell you it definitely does not. I'm going to tell you exactly what is proven, what is claimed, and what you can test yourself. Here's what does not have peer-reviewed corroboration: the composite claim. The idea that these 3 ingredients together in this specific ratio achieve desalination of ocean water. Sodium thiosulfate does not have a documented reaction pathway that sequesters sodium chloride ions at ambient temperature and pressure. That pathway may exist, but it has not been published in any journal I can find. There is another problem. Sodium citrate is highly soluble, 425 grams per liter. If the mechanism depends on sodium citrate precipitating out of solution, the chemistry does not obviously support that. Sodium citrate in water wants to dissolve, not fall out of solution. And then there is the chloride question. Even if the sodium is sequestered, what happens to the chloride ions? The source material does not address this. That is a gap. The on-camera TDS demonstration, the one showing 35,000 parts per million dropping to below 500, is real video, but it is single source, unverified evidence. A TDS meter measures electrical conductivity, not specific ion types. The reading could reflect genuine desalination. It could reflect other chemistry occurring that reduces conductivity without removing all harmful components, without independent laboratory analysis of the treated water. The demonstration is suggestive, but not conclusive. If the demonstration result is genuine, the actual mechanism may differ from what is described. The tablet may work for reasons that are not yet fully understood. That happens in chemistry more often than scientists like to admit. So if the science is uncertain, why would anyone want this gone? Follow the money. The global bottled water market is worth $350 billion annually. That is not a typo. $350 billion every single year. Nestlé, now operating as Blue Triton brands in North America, Danone, Coca-Cola, and PepsiCo dominate this market. Their business model depends on one fundamental assumption. You cannot produce safe drinking water independently. The moment that assumption breaks, the revenue model collapses. Now scale up Industrial desalination represents tens of billions in global infrastructure investment. The Sorek desalination plant in Israel, one of the largest in the world, cost hundreds of millions of dollars to build. The Carlsbad desalination plant in California followed a similar cost structure. These facilities operate on long-term municipal contracts worth billions over their operational lifetimes. Companies like IDE Technologies and Poseidon Water have their entire business existence tied to the premise that desalination requires massive capital infrastructure. An 8-cent tablet does not just threaten their profit margins. It threatens their reason for existing. Let me put this in perspective. A Katadyn Survivor 06, the benchmark portable desalinator, retails for over $300. It produces 0.89 liters per hour, and it requires continuous manual pumping. With the tablet formula, $1 produces approximately a dozen tablets. Each tablet treats roughly 250 to 350 milliliters. That is approximately 3.6 liters per dollar. No pumping, no equipment, no training. Ask yourself, if a tablet like this worked even halfway, even at 50% efficiency, why has no university published a study? Is it because it does not work, or is it because no one is funding the study? No corporation profits from a formula made with 3 generic, unpatentable ingredients pressed in a home pill press. There is zero commercial incentive to fund validation research. A positive result destroys existing revenue streams worth hundreds of billions. A negative result produces no marketable product. This creates a research dead zone. The study that could settle the question has no financial sponsor. Silver-impregnated activated carbon, sodium, thiosulfate, and citric acid are all generic, widely available chemical compounds. No composition of matter patent is possible. A process patent would be unenforceable for home manufacturing. There is no intellectual property to monetize, which means no corporation will invest in proving or disproving the formula. The absence of research is not evidence against the formula. It is evidence of a broken incentive structure. Now, the 11-state ban. I need to be honest here, too. The source material references 11 states, but does not name them. I cannot independently verify which states or under what specific legal authority. What I can tell you is that plausible regulatory vectors exist. The EPA regulates water treatment products. The FDA has jurisdiction over ingestible substances. Several states, California and New York in particular, have aggressive enforcement histories around silver-containing health products. There is a real distinction between consumer protection regulation, which exists to keep you safe, and suppressive regulation, which exists to protect incumbent business models. Sometimes they overlap. Sometimes one masquerades as the other. Without specific state-by-state verification, I am presenting the ban claim as unverified but plausible. Now you understand the stakes. You understand the money. Whether you believe the tablet works or not, you deserve to know the formula so you can test it yourself. That is what this channel is for. If you have made it this far, you are not a casual viewer. You are someone who processes complex information and makes independent decisions. That is exactly who this channel exists to serve. Every person who shares this video is one more person who cannot be kept in the dark. The subscribe button ensures you receive the next piece of recovered knowledge. The share button ensures someone in your network receives this one. The vault link is in the description for those who want the full depth. But stay here, because the most important part of this video is coming next. Here is what you need to know about the risks before I give you the recipe. I'm going to talk directly to you for a moment, not as a presenter, as someone who takes this seriously enough to tell you the parts that other channels would skip. Silver, despite its proven antimicrobial properties, carries real toxicity concerns at elevated doses. The EPA has established a reference dose of 0.005 milligrams per kilogram of body weight per day. Exceed that consistently and you risk argyria, a permanent bluish-gray discoloration of the skin. It is not life-threatening, but it is irreversible. And here is the problem. When you dissolve a silver-containing tablet in water, the exact concentration of silver in the treated water is unknown without laboratory testing. The chloride ion fate remains unaddressed. If the sodium is bound and removed, where does the chloride go? Free chloride in drinking water has its own health implications at high concentrations. The sodium citrate solubility issue I mentioned earlier is real. At 425 grams per liter, sodium citrate is extremely soluble. Precipitation, as described in the source material, is chemically questionable. The volume to tablet ratio is approximate. The demonstration appeared to use roughly 250 to 350 milliliters per tablet. Increasing the water volume without increasing the tablet count would dilute the chemical action and potentially leave dangerous salt concentrations. Ocean water contains far more than sodium chloride. Heavy metals, microplastics, industrial contaminants, biological toxins from algal blooms. Activated carbon has finite adsorption capacity. A single tablet's carbon content cannot address all of these simultaneously. No independent laboratory has verified the treated water's safety for consumption. Shelf life is a concern because sodium thiosulfate is hygroscopic. It absorbs moisture from air. Improperly stored tablets will degrade. These are real concerns, but here is what is also real. Every one of these ingredients has verified, documented use in water purification. Silver kills pathogens. Activated carbon removes contaminants. Sodium thiosulfate neutralizes chlorine. The question is not whether these ingredients work individually. The question is whether they work together in this ratio for desalination. And the only way to answer that question is to test it. So here is exactly how to make them. You need 3 ingredients. All are commercially available and legal to purchase in the United States. Ingredient 1, silver impregnated activated carbon. Source this from water filtration supply companies. It is sold for use in point-of-use water filtration systems. Look for product listings that specify silver content. Online water treatment suppliers and specialty chemical distributors carry it. You want granular form for easier blending. Ingredient 2, sodium thiosulfate, available from aquarium supply stores, photographic chemical suppliers, and general chemical supply companies. Purchase the anhydrous or pentahydrate crystal form. Food grade or reagent grade is preferable. This is an inexpensive and widely available chemical. Ingredient 3, citric acid, available from grocery stores, supplement suppliers, and food grade chemical distributors. This is the same citric acid used in canning, cleaning, and food preservation. Anhydrous powder form is ideal. The ratio is 5 to 2 to 1 by weight. 5 parts silver impregnated activated carbon, 2 parts sodium thiosulfate, 1 part citric acid. For an example batch, weigh out 50 grams of silver impregnated activated carbon, 20 grams of sodium thiosulfate, and 10 grams of citric acid. That gives you 80 grams of total material. Step 1, weigh each ingredient separately using a digital scale accurate to 1 gram or better. Precision matters, because the silver distribution must be uniform throughout the mixture. Step 2, combine all 3 ingredients in a clean, dry mixing container. A glass bowl works. Avoid metal containers that could react with the citric acid. Step 3, blend the dry powders thoroughly for a minimum of 3 to 5 minutes. You need uniform distribution of the silver impregnated carbon throughout the mixture. Uneven mixing means inconsistent silver delivery per tablet. Step 4, press the blended powder into tablets using a manual single punch tablet press. These are available from supplement manufacturing suppliers for under $200. Set the press to produce tablets in the 500 to 1,500 milligram range. Standard supplement tablet size. Step 5, store finished tablets immediately in an airtight, moisture-proof container. This is critical. Sodium thiosulfate absorbs moisture from the air. Exposed tablets will degrade, potentially clump, and lose effectiveness. Glass jars with silicone-sealed lids work. Include a food-grade desiccant packet if storing long-term. To use the tablet, collect ocean water in a clean container. Drop 1 tablet into approximately 250 to 350 milliliters of seawater. Wait 30 minutes. Do not stir. The tablet will dissolve and the chemical process will occur over that waiting period. After 30 minutes, carefully decant the clear water from above any sediment that is formed at the bottom. Do not disturb the sediment layer. If you have a TDS meter, and I strongly recommend you acquire one, test the treated water before drinking. You're looking for a reading below 500 parts per million, which is the EPA secondary drinking water standard. Below 300 parts per million is ideal. The WHO considers water below 600 parts per million to be acceptable palatability. Start with small quantities. Test first, measure first. Do not treat this as proven and drink large amounts on day 1. Monitor for any adverse reaction over 24 to 48 hours with initial test batches. Cost breakdown, bulk ingredient prices put the per tablet cost at approximately 8 cents. $1 produces roughly 12 tablets. At 1 tablet per use, treating approximately 300 milliliters each time, your monthly water cost from ocean water would be approximately $25 to $30 per person. Compare that to the Catadin Survivor 06 at over $300 with continuous manual pumping, producing less than 1 liter per hour. You now have the formula, you now have the process. And you now know more about why you have never heard of this than most people will ever learn. Think about the journey we just took together. From a World War II life raft in the Pacific Ocean, where American servicemen died of thirst surrounded by water, through the hallways of the Natick Soldier Research Center, where researchers spent decades solving this exact problem, past the boardrooms where $350 billion in bottled water revenue depends on you never solving it yourself. And now to your kitchen table, where 3 ingredients and a ratio of 5 to 2 to 1 might change everything. 97%. 97% of all the water on Earth is salt water. If this tablet works as demonstrated, every coastline on the planet becomes a freshwater source for 8 cents. Every hurricane zone, every island nation, Every coastal community cut off from municipal water after a disaster, 8 cents. I have shown you what is claimed. I have shown you what is proven. I have shown you what is uncertain. And I have shown you what is suppressed. Test it. Measure it. Decide for yourself. That is what prepared people do. They do not wait for permission. They do not wait for a corporation to sell them the answer. They do not wait for a government agency to tell them what they are allowed to know. They acquire the knowledge, they verify it with their own hands, and they share it with the people they are responsible for protecting. Someone in your life lives near a coast. Someone in your life worries about water. Someone in your life has a family they would do anything to keep safe when the systems we depend on stop working. Send them this video, because the information in it may not be available forever. The next video covers another piece of recovered knowledge that the prepared community needs to see. It is already in the vault, and it will be on this channel soon. Make sure you are subscribed so you do not miss it. Knowledge they bury is knowledge that matters. Go test this. Go measure this, and go share this. That is how we stay ready.